ولا يصفه الواصفون ولا تغيره الحوادث ولا يخشى الدوائر يعلم مثاقيل الجبال ومكائيل البحار وعدد قطر الأمطار وعدد ورق الأشجار وعدد ما أظلم عليه الليل وما أشرق عليه النهار ولا تواري منه سماء سماء ولا أرض أرضا الحلال ما أحللت والحرام ما حرمت والدين ما شرعت والأمر ما قضيت الخلق خلقك والعبد عبدك وأنت الله الرؤوف الرحيم وصلى الله تعالى على حبيبه ونبيه صلى الله عليه وسلم. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم اتقوا النار ولو بشق تمرة أو كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Hope everyone is doing well today. So inshallah, today we will discuss Surah A'raf as well as Surah Anfal. Okay, so inshallah, we will do two surahs today. So Surah A'raf and Surah Anfal. Understanding that Surah A'raf is in the 8th juz, goes all the way into the 9th juz, and then starts Surah Anfal, which goes into 10th juz, and then Surah Tawbah starts. Wa alaikum assalam. Now the reason why we will do two surahs and the reason why we will do 9 and 8 juz and move into the 10th is because I've said, and I've said this before, that we need to finish 30 in Ramadan, inshallah. Surah Anfal talks about spoils of the war. We'll just briefly say a few things about Surah Badr and I'm sorry, about the Battle of Badr, and then we'll conclude with Surah Anfal. And then tomorrow we move on to Surah Tawbah, which is in the 10th juz. Okay? Then again, as you know, those who have, you know, it might be your first time listening, so you don't get confused. So this is why I have to say this, that we are not doing every single ayah, right? There are different Quran tafsirs where, you know, the instructor or the person who is giving the tafsir, conducting the tafsir, he or she may go through each and every single ayah, right? Translate them and go into the details of which. Right, so this is something we won't do. We will just choose and pick one or two really key important ayahs, right? As I said, all ayahs are important, but one or two ayahs that stand out, that stick out, right? And inshallah, we will go through them. Now, a few things before we get into Surah A'raf. Surah A'raf, yes, it does mention the story of Musa alayhi salam in details. It also mentions the story of Adam alayhi salam, right? And a few others. This we will not go into details because, like I said, these stories will come throughout the Quran, right? In understanding, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned a few stories in the Quran as takhweef, meaning to instill fear in the hearts of people, right? This is towards, now since this is towards the end of, or it's towards the end of Makkah time, or it's, you know, towards the beginning of migration. Now, few ayahs are a little more, alarming. For example, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks of the nations before us, right? In these ayahs, some of them. The tone is a little different, right? See, in the beginning, for example, you look at those ayahs that were revealed in the beginning, right? So their tone is not as, I wouldn't use the word harsh, but they use a soft tone, right? For example, you want to tell someone, you want to warn someone. For example, the child runs around, right? First, you tell the child, hey, come on, sit down, don't do anything, just relax, right? That's the tone of parents in the beginning, right? That's the first stage. That's the initial stage. And then when the child doesn't listen, you scold the child, right? You reprimand him harshly, right? This is, you can call this the last stage, right? The last stage where, the first stage was you spoke to the child nicely, the child didn't listen. Now you move up, right? What's it called? You reprimand him, right? You scold him harshly. So the tone of Surah Araf, like I said, it's towards the end of the Mecca time, beginning of migration, right? Now Muslims are, very soon they will migrate and this and that. So the tone is a little different. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala understanding what is the purpose of these of these stories, right? A lot of people they say, these stories are for our entertainment and this and that, the story of Musa alayhi salam and this. But a valuable lesson, right? For example, objectives are always more important than your own personal satisfaction, your own personal care, right? For example, someone may go to school, right? And this person, he says, I like going to school because, I have friends there, I enjoy recess. This is, if a person has this in his mind, he's not fully able to understand the true meaning of school, right? He's not able to absorb knowledge or as much knowledge as opposed to that person who goes to school thinking and knowing that I'm here for a purpose, right? What's the purpose of going to school? The purpose behind these are all add-ons, right? So you have your primary source and your secondary, right? Primary colors and secondary colors, right? Similarly, you have your primary intention, your primary objective, and then you have your secondary objective, right? The primary objective of these stories is that these people, they faced this outcome because they went against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah, you save us from their outcome, you save us from these trials and tribulations that these people had to go through, right? And they went through them because they wished to go against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They went against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As a result, they were punished, right? So that is the objective of these stories as well, right? Story of Adam alayhi salam, right? The objective and the primary, there's a reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned us, He has told us this story. He tells us this story, right? The reason why, it's not so that a person thinks, oh wow, what type of tree that, a lot of people, they get involved in the tree which you ate from, the fruit which you ate, was it a fig, was it a date, was it this, and people just argue about this, and they, just contemplate over this. This is something that's not that important. What's important is that we have been given a task, which is to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout our lives, right? That's the lesson. And shaitan is our clear enemy, right? So, when it comes to Surah Araf, then again, the reason why it's called A'raf, understanding A'raf means heights, right? So what does this mean? Okay, now just one ayah I'll read, ayah number 48. ونادى أصحاب الأعراف رجال يعرفونهم بسيماهم قالوا ما أغنى عنكم جمعكم وما كنتم تستكبرون. Okay, briefly talks about the people of A'raf. So who are the people of A'raf? Understanding on Yawm al-Qiyamah, you will have three groups, right? Three types of people now. Okay, so you have Ashab al-Jannah, right? The residents, civilians, dwellers of Jannah. And then you have Ashab al-Nar, dwellers of the fire, right? If your good deeds are heavier than your bad deeds, right? Inshallah, you will go to Jannah. Or, so before we move into Qiyamah, inshallah, we will discuss this and, the sites of Yawm al-Qiyamah as well. But A'raf, heights, these people are those, so just to clarify once again, right? Good deeds are more than bad deeds. you are in Jannah. Bad deeds are more than uh, good deeds, you end up in Jahannam. Now, subhanAllah, this is a great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is truly a mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the understanding of this. I mean, the system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is such where the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is such where a person comes on Yawm al-Qiyamah. His deeds are heavier than his bad deeds. He is destined to go to Jannah. Okay? Meaning, now then again, I'm not getting into the hadith of the bankrupt person, a muflis person. I'm just saying a person who has more good. I'm talking about the scale, right? You have your good deeds outweigh your bad deeds, end up in Jannah, right? This is now going into Jannah. This access that you have into Jannah that you will be granted, it is 100%, right? So it is 100%. Just understand this, okay? It's 100% that you will, inshallah, go to Jannah if good deeds are more than bad deeds. Okay, understand this. SubhanAllah, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is such that if your bad deeds outweigh your good deeds, it's not 100% that you will end up in Jahannam. There is a possibility that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives you. Okay, so SubhanAllah, just imagine your good deeds outweigh your bad deeds. You end up in Jannah. Your bad deeds, now this is 100% guaranteed Jannah, right? Your bad deeds, they outweigh your good deeds. You are not 100% guaranteed Jahannam, right? Obviously, majority of those people will end up in Jahannam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says some people on Yawm al-Qiyamah will come. Their bad deeds will be more than their good deeds, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive them, right? So this is all up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And subhanAllah, if your deeds are equal, right, you will be asked to, it's your waiting lounge, a person waits, right, and you're waiting, so you either go to this doctor or that doctor, right? Let's say you go to a clinic or something, there's a waiting lounge there, right? So this is, you can say this as a waiting lounge. So these people are waiting, right, and they don't know what their situation, where they're going to end up. Is it, where am I? And they can see everything, right? They can see the dwellers of Jannah and they can see the dwellers of the fire, right? These are those who have equal amount of deeds, right? Equal amount of deeds. Now, some scholars have also said these people are those people who went in fi sabilillah for jihad. They went jihad fi sabilillah, but they weren't given permission from their parents, right? So see, look, now they're both equal. Going in, mashallah, jihad fi sabilillah, great task, right? It's a great blessing, a great deed. On the other hand, they weren't given that permission, and they went without their prior permission, right? So see, balancing, right? It's that balance. So then again, this is what some scholars have said. But coming at this, only Allahu A'lam, a more sound qawl is that these people are those who, who have equal amount of deeds. Right? So their bad deeds are the same amount of their good deeds, right? Good deeds and bad deeds are equal. So that was one thing, and inshallah this is what we will focus on today, right? On Qiyamah and this, related to this. So, now today, a lot of people question that I've been sent to this world, and what's the main purpose? Why do I have to compete with one another in terms of a'mal? What's the whole point of this? Well, some people ask this, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us this answer, subhanAllah, throughout the Quran, but in Surah Mulk as well, right? Then again, this is still related to that portion, that ayah of Surah A'raf, right? Talking about A'raf. In A'raf, then again, you don't have this in this world. It takes place on Yawm al-Qiyamah, right? So it's related. الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ, right? This is your reason. This is the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created life and death. This is the reason why He gives you life and He gives you death, right? الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ, He's created death. وَالْحَيَاةَ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا وَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْغَفُورُ, right? This is the purpose that everyone needs to understand, right? That you've been created here. Now, It's up to you, right? For example, someone goes into, few people that go into a mine, or they go somewhere inside a cave. Now that cave is full of gems, it's full of jewelry, right? Now some people, they say, I will only pick up, one handful. Some people say, I will pick up, I'll pick up this jewelry and these gems with both of my hands. Some people say, I'll put some in my pocket, and then I'll go back, right? And not only this, subhanAllah, one story comes into mind actually. There was this one civil engineer who would, see, their job is to construct things. So this person would, he was a constructor, right? He would construct things. So his boss tells him that, you know what, you've done so much for me, right? You've done a lot of things for me. Now I just need you to do me one last thing, right? Just one last thing. Just do me one last thing, and that's it. Your job is done. So he said, what is that job? So his employer tells him that, I need you to construct a house. And construct a house and make sure that this house is very beautiful, right? And this is the last job that you have. So he constructs that house, and this person is told just to construct a house, right? So this person constructs that house. He builds that house, right? He puts it. Now he was given, and the boss tells him that, you know what, you have been given, and any material that you want to use, right? Whether you talk about, marble, you want to put tiles, whatever you want to use, you have free access to it. Just build a house. So he says, I've been building so many houses. I've built several houses in my life. So it's my last one, so might as well just build it. So he puts up the frames and this and that, and now the house is built, right? The employer comes, the boss comes, and he tells him that, you know what, since you've done so much for me, this house that I was telling you to build, that I told you to construct, this house is on me. This is your house. I've given it to you. Now this person, he's in shock. He thinks, subhanAllah, had I known that I was going to live here, I would make sure I put the most expensive marble inside. Had I known this is my house, this was going to be my house, then I would make sure that I would have used the best of materials, right? So the story and the gist, subhanAllah, the gist and the moral and the lesson of the story is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after sending us into this world, right, when we understand that our houses in Jannah will be made of, bricks, but bricks of gold, rubies, emerald, sapphire, and all that stuff, right? And see, subhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us tools, right? You know how a constructor, someone wants to construct something, right? What does he ask? He'll ask you, I need some tools. I need a worker's hat. I need this. I need that tool. I need a shovel. I need this. I need all the tools. I need a screwdriver. I need this. I need this, right? And then he uses those tools to build his house. Similarly, in that fashion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us tools in this world, right, to build our akhirah. What are these tools? These tools are in the form and in the shape of salah, in the form of sadaqah, in the form of sawm, in the form of giving zakat, in the form of different actions, different deeds, right? So these are our tools that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, right? There are those who gain nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through sadaqah. Those who gain nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through salah. There are those who gain nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through nawafil. Right? These are different tools, right? Different routes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. Right? And then understanding that we have respect for all these routes and for all the people who are involved in different routes. Right? So for example, someone who's involved in, there are subhanAllah those who just constantly engrossed and just involved in salah. Right? We respect them, alhamdulillah. This is a great blessing. There are those who are involved in tabligh. Alhamdulillah, we have respect for them. Right? It is wrong to think, now here's where you differentiate. For example, those who are giving sadaqah, mashallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve them, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them so much money. It's wrong for a person to say that since I'm involved in sadaqah, now that I'm involved in sadaqah is the only way to live your life. That is wrong, right? Those who are involved in salah, to think that salah is the only way, meaning that you are praying salah, alhamdulillah, you're on the right track. Those who are not praying salah, they're gone. They're not on the right track. Right? This is wrong. Right? To think that one thing, subhanAllah, let us not confine this beautiful religion of Islam. Right? Let us not confine this deen. To think that going in Tabligh, for instance, right, whether you go for 3 days, 4 days, right, it's a beautiful deed, right? It's a beautiful action that people perform, right, of Islam. But to think that this is the only way of deen, no. Those who engage themselves in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? They have their, alhamdulillah, they have their khanqahs, they have their majalis of dhikr, right? To think that I am superior than that person who is not sitting in this gathering, and to think that I'm superior than those who go in Jamaat, the people going in Jamaat, they think we're superior than those who sit in khanqahs. This is completely wrong, right? This is the beauty of Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just hasn't, He's just not just one thing. Right? He hasn't given us one route, one channel. He's given us several channels, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? This channel, you can go through this, you can go through this, you can go through that. Several channels Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, right? So, understanding that this is not a place where we are going to live forever and ever and ever. Now, when a person thinks that we are not going to live here forever and ever, right? Now, here, just to make you guys understand, okay, just to make everyone understand. For example, you rent a place, right? You rent a place. Now, as long as you rent that, see, you have that place on. 1 second. Okay, here's what we have to understand. For example, you don't own a house, right? You're on rent. You pay rent, right? Now, now this is not for those who are living in apartments. A better example would be for those who live in a house, right? Any given time, see, when you are on rent, right? When you pay rent, most of us, we feel uncomfortable, right? Why do we feel uncomfortable? Because the house does not belong to us. Right? You ask someone. Now you only get this example if you've actually rented a house, right? You buy your own house, you live inside, you live freely, right? You can do whatever you want. You can play with the windows, open the windows back and open the doors, slam the doors, this and that. You don't really bother that much, right? Because it's your house, this and that. You're comfortable. If your child messes around, you feel comfortable. Now, let's say for instance, you rent a house, right? You don't have that full satisfaction, right? You're not full satiated. You don't have that full satisfaction. You think that, what, I have to make sure my kids don't run around here or there. If the wall breaks, we have to pay extra. The owner can come anytime. He can kick us out. This and that. So you don't feel comfortable, right? This is, my dear respected brothers and sisters. We have to understand as well. When we live our lives, let us not get comfortable with the comfort of this life. Right, or by the comfort of this life and what this dunya has to offer, right? Whether we talk about the wealth, luxury, whatever it is, because understanding that we are only renting this, right? We are here on rent. We're paying rent. That's it. How are we paying rent? Through our a'mal, through the actions that we do. That's it. Our real place, our place of eternity, right? What's a place, where we are going to live, inshallah, forever and ever. And that is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, this is what I prepared for you, and this is your house. You don't have to pay any tax, right? You have to pay no tax, right? That is in Jannah, inshallah, right? And also understanding, and if you understand, few things, inshallah, my dear respected brothers and sisters, if we can understand this, okay, someone has just joined, okay, inshallah, I'll give you a recap at the end. If we can understand a few examples, inshallah, you see how our lives, we'll have so much comfort and satisfaction in our lives, right? A lot of things will open up, inshallah, just by understanding a few examples. Just understand this, that, our limbs, our body, it belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And understanding two things here, right? Your body is comprised of two things, right? It's the soul and your actual body, right? That's made from dirt and other substances, right? Now, Subhanallah, what would happen? Just imagine what's going to happen that if a person is locked up, right? You lock someone up in a room, right? What's going to happen? He will start scratching the walls. He'll bang on the door. The first day he'll be normal. The second day, things will get a little worse. Third day he gets angry. Fourth day he'll bang on the door. Why? Why is he doing this? Because he's restless. Why is he restless? Because he's hungry. Your body needs food, right? Similarly, the same thing happens with our soul, right? Our souls are not satiated by the food that we eat, that our bodies need, right? Our souls are satiated by through what? Through Quran, through the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when our souls are locked up, right, they tell you, look, everyone needs to eat, right? You don't a baby doesn't have food. After some time, the baby starts crying, right? We can take our examples as well, right? For example, we live our lives, right? If we have our breakfast, and subhanAllah, you can find this in people as well. When people have breakfast, they're not grumpy, they're not cranky. The moment you look at the clocks, it's 11 a.m. or it's 12 p.m. You look at someone, he's cranky. That you can tell that this person didn't have breakfast today, right? Once he has his lunch, once we have our breakfast, then we're not cranky, then we're okay, then we feel fine, right? So the soul needs something as well. The soul needs this medication. The soul needs this, right? Now coming back to our limbs, right? So understanding that each and every single portion belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? We say this, right? This is a dua that we make, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, inna lillahi. But understanding what that really means. That really means that our limbs belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are not owners of this. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, to rent. That's it. For example, you go somewhere, right? Someone gives you speakers, right? And he tells you that, here you go. You take these speakers, you take them home, and you use these speakers. Now a person goes home, he uses these speakers. Now this person, when he comes back to return the speakers, just understand this. Now, if there is some malfunction or if there are some defects in the speakers, what happens? The person says, you know what, you have to pay a price. The owner says, you know what, when I gave you these speakers, they were pure and sound. Everything was perfect. Now when you're returning this back to me, things are messed up. It has defects. It has flaws. So how do you take care of that now? Now, because it is your doing, I didn't do this, right? Now, we'll see, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا ظَلَمَهُمْ اللَّهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not oppress. وَلَكِنْ كَانُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ يَظْلِمُونَ. See where I'm getting at, right? Subhanallah, understand this, my dear respected brothers and sisters, that, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had our limbs, just understand this, right? When a child is born, right, he is pure. He hasn't sinned, right? The same example of when a person gives you these speakers, right? You take the speakers home. Now the person says use these speakers, okay? Now, what does he tell you? What guidelines does he give you? Make sure you use them properly. Make sure you keep them away from water, this and that. So these are the guidelines that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, that you follow my messenger, you don't follow shaitan. Okay? Now, when we return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if these eyes, and if our hands, and if our feet, if we use them properly in this world, when we return these limbs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Yawm al-Qiyamah, you just understand this, when we return these limbs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Yawm al-Qiyamah, if there are no defects, if there is no malfunction, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, okay, you don't have to pay a price, okay? I will reward you, and that is Jannah. Now, if someone who has wronged himself, these feet were meant to walk, they were supposed to be used. So a person Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us these feet, so we can go towards the masjid, so we can do acts of good. Now, but these feet and these legs were used for wrong. So now there are defects, there are flaws, right? There's a malfunction in this. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, okay, this malfunction, right? Who is the cause of this malfunction? Is it me or is it you? It's insan. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran as well. وَمَا ظَلَمُهُمْ اللَّهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not oppress. وَلَكِنْ كَانُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ يَظْلِمُونَ. People oppress themselves, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, okay, now you have to pay a price. And what is that price? Then again, you have to get purified. And how can one get purified? Through punishment. right? You know how they say, you know how parents say that in order to fix you, I'm going to beat you up or I'm going to slap you, right? Now, when a parent slaps a child, it's not to demoralize him or to criticize or embarrass him, right? It's only done to correct him, to rectify him, right? So to make sure that he doesn't make the same mistake again, right? And we discussed this in the first juz as well, or the beginning classes, right? So understanding that this is life and we have to make sure we live our lives carefully, right? Allah. And one thing understanding, now coming back to this, coming back to the ayah of A'raf, right? Coming back to the ayah of A'raf. Now, subhanAllah, how do we get to that place, right? How do we get to that place? So there are a few things that we have to understand, right? A person comes into this life, right? He grows up, or at times, you have different, different features. If someone reaches age 20, someone 30, someone 45, that's different, right? That's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, depending on how much time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you, okay? Now, understanding that a person comes into this world, and then a person passes away, thereafter a person goes into his grave, and then he is presented before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Yawm al-Qiyamah, right? So these are the stages that a person has to go through, right? If a person lives a good life, right? Now here's the thing that you have to understand, right? Alhamdulillah, if now you look at a person who's done really good, who does good in elementary, right? Alhamdulillah, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it easy for him. Those students who do well in their academic field, who do well in elementary school, Alhamdulillah, and in their secondary school as well, Alhamdulillah, they do well in college. They do well in college, Alhamdulillah, they do well in life, right? So if we do well, inshallah, in our lives, right? In terms of a'mal, right? If we adhere to the instructions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the instructions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, we will live a good life. When a person lives a good life, inshallah, he will have, satisfaction in the grave. He'll live a good life in the grave as well. When a person lives a good life in the grave, inshallah, he will live a good life in the hereafter as well, which right now I'm talking about Yawm al-Qiyamah, right? So, talking about Yawm al-Qiyamah, understanding that we are going there, okay? It is going to happen. What are the signs now that Qiyamah is going to happen and it will take place? Okay? So understanding that there are two ways and two different signs, right? There are those signs that are major, right? So you have the major signs and you have the small signs. Major signs, subhanAllah, have yet to come. Okay? Have yet to come. Major signs have yet to come. So let's talk about some major signs and then we'll move on to the minor signs, right? And Allahu Akbar, when we look at these minor signs, subhanAllah, we truly realize that majority of the signs have already come. Meaning our time, and meaning we are very close to Yawm al-Qiyamah. We are very close to the time of Isa alayhi salam. We are very close to all this, subhanAllah. Because when you look at the minor signs, because minor signs come first, and then you have the major signs, right? When you look at minor signs, right, nearly 80% to 90% of minor signs are subhanAllah already gone. Now some of them, inshallah, I will say from a book, and others I will say, inshallah, from memory, if the things that my teachers have taught me. So, amongst the major signs, you have dukhan, smoke. Now, subhanAllah, some people say this has already taken place, right? And this was at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There are a few scholars that say this, and this was at the time of. And I want everyone to listen carefully, because subhanAllah, when you listen to some of these signs, you'll be blown away. So, Allahu Akbar. This Dukhan, people say this had taken place when the Muslims were exiled, right? So this is before the migration of Medina, right? Where Muslims, they were exiled, and they say when the boycott had taken place, right? They say when the boycott had taken place, and when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed the wind, and the wind blew, and there was smoke. So there are a few scholars that say, that was the smoke that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks of, right? Other scholars say, no, this is not the smoke. This is the smoke that will come after a big war, right? A big war. Some scholars also say this is also known as World War III. Why do they say this is known? Why do scholars say that this is sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that some scholars say that this is the smoke because in the description of smoke is that birds will forget to fly. Okay, just understand this. And before we move on to the signs, I really want to clarify this. It's not for us to just delve into. I'm just saying this right now, for the audience, for our listeners. This does not mean that we completely delve ourselves into this, right? Indulge ourselves and just completely just study about the signs, just because these signs, don't really mean much. There's a lesson, a bigger thing that we need to do is prepare for Yawm al-Qiyamah. As this one time a Sahabi asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam regarding the signs of Yawm al-Qiyamah. Right? So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, subhanallah, gave a beautiful response. He said, "What have you prepared for Yawm al-Qiyamah?" Right? So today a lot of people they get involved in, they talk about, okay, when will Dajjal come? Okay, what preparations have you made for Dajjal? What preparations have you made for other things? Right? So it's on for us to get in, to indulge and to involve in the signs, right? The most important thing is that we prepare ourselves for Yawm al-Qiyamah, right? We prepare for a day where a brother will run away from his brother, right? Brother run away from a brother, the mother runs away from the child runs away from the mother. That is the day that we have to prepare ourselves for, right? So the reason why they say this dukhan is, so in the description of this dukhan is that birds will forget to fly. Now, why do scholars say this will take place after the World War III or the next war? It is because it is going to be a war that is not going to be fought with weapons, rather with nuclear weapons, right? And when you have a nuclear fallout, right, we understand there's going to be smoke. When there is smoke, because of that smoke, birds, and you can study this and you can look it up as well. When there's a nuclear fallout, right, birds forget to fly because of radiation. Scholars say this is that dukhan. Okay? Then you have Dajjal, right? Dajjal, obviously one of the signs, and you have the Hurul Dabba, right? A beast will come from between Safa and Marwa, right? طلوع الشمس من مغربها. We understand the sun rises from the east, sets in west, but then on Yawm al-Qiyamah it will rise from the west and set in east. Okay? Then Ya'juj, Ma'juj, Ma'juj. Okay? And then Isa alayhi salam. These are just the major signs we want to. Today, let's focus more on the minor signs, right? Minor signs of Yawm al-Qiyamah. Okay? Sending of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay? Ba'athatu Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay? And Wafatu Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The demise of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is a minor sign of Yawm al-Qiyamah. Okay? Because understanding that many prophets were sent, right? And now understanding that Qiyamah does not take place until, as long as there's a person saying La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, right? So now when you understand that a prophet, for example, Musa alayhi salam, understanding those they understood Musa alayhi salam is not the last prophet. So, a person thinks that, now Qiyamah is still not going to take place because a last prophet has to come, right? And this is actually a warning for us, understanding that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is the last prophet, there is no one after him. Now we are moving closer and closer and closer to the sign of Yawm al-Qiyamah. Another sign, a small sign of Yawm al-Qiyamah is inshiqaq al-qamar, right? Splitting of the moon. This was done at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Another minor sign is wafatu sahaba. those companions around Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they have passed away. Another minor sign of Qiyamah is Fathu Bayt al-Maqdis. It has already been conquered, and we can understand this. It was conquered at the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, right? Okay. Another is Kathratu Dhuhur al-Fitan. You understand that there's fitna, there's subhanallah, but there's fitna all across the world, right? People are just so there are so many trials and tribulations. Another is Dhuhur al-Khawarij. Khawarij people will come out, right? And not only this, خروج أدعياء النبوة, right? خروج أدعياء النبوة. People will come and they will claim to be prophet, right? For example, and we know we can see this, and subhanallah, you have may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. You have people like this today as well. And this was also at the time of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, when he was a Khalifa, right? And there were quite a few, I'm trying to think of names. Yes, Musaylimah bin Kathab, right? Musaylimah bin Kathab, someone who claimed to be a prophet after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? Musaylimah bin Kathab, at the time of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. So that's also one of the signs of Yawm al-Qiyamah. Amongst other signs are the mother will give birth to her master. The mother will give birth to her master. Okay? There are two ways to understand this hadith. Okay? Understanding that people back in the days, they would have slaves, right? Now, when the slave would give birth, okay, so the slave is not, okay, here's the thing, understand, right? So you have the menfolk, they would have slaves. Now, when the slave gives birth, right, she gives birth to her master because she's not superior than the son, right? The son belongs to the slave's master. Now, when he grows up, she is actually his slave as well, right? So this is one way of understanding. The other way of understanding is, as scholars say, that today we can understand this as well, that today children, the way they speak to their mothers, right? The way they regulate, that's a word that I would use, the way they regulate and their mothers. They act as if they control the mothers, right? You have people who swear at their mothers, who have people who, na'udhu they slap their mothers, right? So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. So this is okay, this is the other thing, right? One of the other signs of Yawm al-Qiyamah is that a husband and a wife will become partners in a business. Okay? So you have the husband, back in the days, husbands, their business would be separate, and women folk would just stay home. And then, or, the woman, she would have her separate business, and the men, they would be doing something else. Now, another one of the signs of Yawm al-Qiyamah is that these two people will be shareholders in one business, right? They would have musharaka in one business. Another is you would have more ignorance than knowledge, and we can say this today. Anyone can get up. Any person can get up. SubhanAllah, you find this, right? Any person can get up. He can add it, Maulana before his name, Mufti before his name, or he's in reality he's not a Maulana nor a Mufti. He's far away from that. He gets up. He starts calling people towards Islam, and now people are SubhanAllah, they flock towards them, right? And SubhanAllah, and SubhanAllah, you can even see this, more ignorance, right? Ignorance is more prevalent, right? Ignorance prevails over knowledge, right? And you can, SubhanAllah, you can even see this when we go back home, right? Everyone has their own, you have your false speed, right? You have your false speed. I'm talking about a false speed. I'm not talking about a real one. You have your false speed, and SubhanAllah, they have more people attend their seminars than attending the seminars of scholars, subhanallah. Right? So it's obviously ignorance more than knowledge. Another is يتواصل الأطباق, that bulls will talk to one another, right? This was said at the time of Sahaba. Now, obviously, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had the knowledge of this. Okay? He had the knowledge of this, subhanallah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam understood this, but Sahaba radiallahu anhum ajma'in, just imagine, someone tells you right now, for instance, something that is going to happen 30 years in the future. We don't know that, but we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe cars might, fly, and I don't know, so many other things can happen, right? Technology is advancing, and this and that. So Sahaba radiallahu anhum ajma'in, to tell them, right, for them, right, that يتواصل الأطباق, bulls will speak to one another. Now, subhanAllah, you understand, back then, a person wouldn't really understand, but now you can understand this, subhanAllah. When you look at satellite, and you look at the shape of a satellite, it's the shape of a bull. When we look at our telecommunication today, right, how does that work? They speak to one another. They connect with one another, right? Satellites have this hour connection. They speak to one another, subhanAllah. Right? So يتواصل الأطباق, they will speak and connect with one another. Right? Another one was qiyamah. One of the amongst the minor signs of qiyamah is that a person's thigh will speak to him. Right? Your thigh speaks to you. Now, if understanding at that, if you were living at that time, you wouldn't really understand how can your thigh speak to you, right? But now a person understands that, I keep my phone in my pocket, and where is my pocket? It's by my thigh. Yes, subhanAllah, right? Another hadith was that music will be played in every house, right? Music will be played in every house. Now, subhanAllah, you look at this, that person says, I'm not playing any music in my house. But Allahu Akbar, some scholars have even said this. Now, Allah, see, then again, I'm just talking about this. This does not mean that these are 1000% accurate. Only Allahu A'lam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. See, then again, I spoke of Dukhan. Only Allah ta'ala knows best, right? Whether if it's the nuclear fallout or it's before that, Allahu A'lam, we don't really know. Okay, I'm just mentioning this before you. Another is, so how is music played in every house, right? Understanding, and this is what scholars have said, understanding that when a person rings the door, right, when you ring that doorbell, right, it plays music, right? And every house has a doorbell, right? Which means every house is music, right? In every house, there's music is being played, right? So that was the other thing. And subhanAllah, my teacher said this. He said, Allahu Akbar, I still remember we were doing this in class. He said, one amongst the signs of Yawm al-Qiyamah is women folk, they would walk in a twisted, they would walk in a twisted and in an awkward manner, in an awkward way, right? We really didn't understand this. I'm like, so how can that happen when someone walks, subhanAllah, when you hear this, subhanAllah, you'll realize this, right? So the hadith, it was saying that women folk, when they would walk, some of them would lower their shoulders, meaning that there's that imbalance, right? When you're supposed to walk straight, right? You're supposed to walk normal. He said, Qiyamah will not come until, and this is one of the amongst the minor signs of Qiyamah, that they'll be walking in a twist and in an awkward way, right? Lowering the shoulder, then bringing it up, then lowering the legs, and bringing them up. So I didn't really get this. So subhanAllah, my teacher did the shiri of this. He said, subhanAllah, when you look at, when you see the girls, and what is the shiri of this? It's when girls go for catwalk, right? When they have their model, when models walk on that platform, right? How do they walk? Do they walk normally? They don't walk normally. They make sure they they twist their bodies in an awkward way, this and that. So subhanAllah, when we understood this, we're blown by this. Amongst the many other signs of Yawm al-Qiyamah. Another minor sign of Yawm al-Qiyamah is that people will not purify themselves, right? They won't purify their nafs through what? By not offering zakat. Okay? By not offering zakat, obviously when a person doesn't offer zakat, You don't purify yourself, right? Another one is رفع الأصوات في المساجد. Allahu Akbar. People will raise their voices in the masjid. And you can see this in two different forms. You can see this in forms of conversations, right? And you can see this in forms of arguments, right? Sometimes, an argument breaks out in the masjid. Now, people have no, these people have no respect for the masjid, right? Their voices are loud, right? Their voices elevate. People get loud, one screams, the other person says, if you're screaming, I can scream louder than you, I can shout, I can do this and this and that. And through conversations, right? It is the same. Our masajid, subhanAllah, have turned into conferences. It's turned into a conference hall today, right? We feel comfortable, where we are praying, this is where it's okay for us to talk and, just do whatever we can. Little do we know that there are pious jinns there, there are angels there who recite Quran and they remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we are a means of distraction for them, right? So we need to abstain from this. Another, subhanAllah, is إدنى or أدنى الأصدقاء وإقضاء الآباء. That a person will bring his friends closer and he will further his father, right? The person will be closer, people will be closer to their friends than their fathers, basically, right? And you can see this, subhanAllah, you have those people, when the friend calls, we're ready to receive the call. When the father calls, when the mother calls, we decline, or we say we're busy or something, right? So we're able to receive the calls of our friends but decline the calls of our parents, right? Another sign is كثرة الكذب, right? Excessive lie. People will just lie, and subhanAllah, you can see this. Today, so many of us, we just lie, some people lie, depending on the circumstance, depending on the condition, right? They lie so they don't get in trouble, right? Now, our kids, and some of us, we just lie just like there's no tomorrow. The circumstance, we don't have to lie at that point. It's become our second nature, right? It's become habitual for us to lie. Another one is that masajid will be decorated, right? Masajid will be decorated. There'll be, and subhanAllah, you can see this, right? I was at a masjid somewhere, and I was speaking to the imam, or I was speaking to someone, and he said, subhanAllah, we're going to get a new chandelier. It's coming from Turkey. It's worth like $30,000. I said, Allahu Akbar. A chandelier coming from Turkey worth $30,000, and it's going to be placed in the masjid, right? That same money you can probably give, just imagine how many orphans you can feed with that money, right? This is what we have to understand, subhanAllah. Back in the days, the masajid were not sturdy. They were weak, but the hearts were strong. Today, our masajid are strong, but our hearts are weak, right? Masajid were those, they had, subhanAllah, this is something we really need to understand. Starting understanding from today's perspective. Another one is يتطاولون في البنيان. People will compete in who can construct the highest structure. يتطاولون في البنيان. And subhanAllah, you could see this, right? Allahu Akbar, the way you construct something, you have the Burj Khalifa. Now Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, they're saying no, we can't stay back. We have to build something else. They're building their own tower. Now Dubai is going to counterattack. Dubai is going to build their own tower. AC, يتطاولون في البنيان, competing in who can just construct, right? Have the highest, construct the tallest building. Another sign of يوم القيامة. Another sign of يوم القيامة is استحلال الحرير للرجال. Menfolk, we understand harir, silk is haram for us, but a lot of us, we say silk is halal for us, right? Another sign of Yawm al-Qiyamah is people would crave death. People would wish for death, right? Because of the agony, the pain, whatever they go through in life, right? They would wish for death. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has already told us that don't wish for death. Don't wish for death, right? Rather make a dua. And what is that dua that a person should make? Allahumma ahyini ma kanat al-hayatu khayran li. Ya Allah, give me life. That life, as long as my life is good for me, give me life. Allahumma ahyini ma kanat خير ما كانت الحياة خير لي وتوفني ما كانت الوفاة خير لي, and only give me death when death is best suited for me, right? When it's time for me to go, Ya Allah, take me. And when it's time for me to live, Ya Allah, keep me alive for as long as you wish to keep me alive. Another another sign of Yawm al-Qiyamah is a person. Another sign is sudden death. Sudden death, right? You have one day someone can be perfectly fine, the next day he has a heart attack, right? Subhanallah. You have someone who leaves his house perfectly fine, car crash, passes away, right? This is another sign of Yawm al-Qiyamah. Another sign of Yawm al-Qiyamah is وقوع التناكر بين الناس. Okay? Evil will spread amongst people, and hate will spread amongst people, right? Another sign of Yawm al-Qiyamah. تقارب الأسواق. People will be more engaged and they will busy themselves. And where will be people found? Majority of people, subhanallah, we can see this. Allahu Akbar. I tell you this, the moment, see, one thing that, well, I understand this hadith, please. The best of places, beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the face of this earth are the masajid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The worst of places, though halal, are what? Aswaq, the store, the marketplace, right? And this is what we have to understand as well. The moment this lockdown rule it's uplifted, you will see people, they won't flock towards masajid. People will flock towards H&M. Someone has to flock towards this store, Guess, Gucci, this, that place, any other place. We will flock towards these places, right? And we will populate them. Our masajid won't be populated. These stores, all these stores will be populated, right? SubhanAllah, it's Allahu Akbar, it's so sad. I'm pretty sure there are some of us, even when this gets uplifted, there are those who will say Alhamdulillah, now the stores are open, but there's no one to say Alhamdulillah, now that our masajid are open, right? We need to say Alhamdulillah, our masajid are open. Who cares about the stores? Who cares about? I'm not talking about the grocery stores. I'm talking about the other stores, right? Obviously, when you go for groceries, it's a need, right? I'm talking about the other stores, right? H&M, you have Hudson's Bay, you have this, you have that. In America, you have, I don't know, JCPenney and all the other stores, right? So what you need to do is shukr, alhamdulillah, ya Allah, you've opened your masajid, you've opened your masjid now. If I can come inside freely and just worship you, ya Allah, right? Another one is taqarabu zaman, Allahu Akbar. Taqarabu zaman. Time will just fly, right? We look at our lives, that we understand that, I was 10 years old just yesterday. Yesterday feels like I was 10 years old. Months pass by. So many things happen. A person gets married, he has kids. He gets older. His kids, if he has his kids have kids, and the person says, "Wow, what just happened?" Right? Subhanallah. And all of a sudden, the person looks at his beard. Now he has, there was a time when it was black. Now it's white. Right? So Allahu Akbar. Itaqarabu zaman. Right? A month. A year feels like a month feels like a week feels like an hour feels like a minute feels like a second, right? This is what happening today. Another sign of Yawm al-Qiyamah is kathratu zilzal, or zalazil, right? Increase of earthquakes. They don't have to be major, like huge scales, like 7.9 this and that, 7.8, 7.2, even minor quakes, right? We see this. Kathratu nisa wa qillatu rijal. You have more women on the face of this earth than men, right? And it will stay like this until Yawm al-Qiyamah. Another sign of Yawm al-Qiyamah is obesity. Another sign of Yawm al-Qiyamah, that you will find people who are unhealthy, and as a result, they don't exercise, and because they don't exercise, they are obese. another sign of Yawm al-Qiyamah is that those who are wealthy, those who are powerful, they will overpower and overshadow the poor. And we can see this. We can see this everywhere. We can see this in courts as well. You have money, the poor person, you can easily shut him up in court. This usually happens back home, right? Nothing happens. SubhanAllah, at times even the poor people are killed, right? Poor people are killed, and then who's their caretaker, right? SubhanAllah. So these are some of the signs of, and then, they continue, they keep going, Allahu Akbar. But then what we have to understand is that let us not get involved in these signs, right? Let us work towards akhirah. Let us construct our homes. Let us construct our palaces. Inshallah, one of the ayahs of Jannah later on, not right now, about Jannah, inshallah, we'll do Jannah in details, Jahannam in details, right? This is what we have to understand. And subhanAllah, the way we live our lives, we will be resurrected that way as well. SubhanAllah. The way we live our lives is the exact way we'll be resurrected, right? You have, and subhanAllah, some people, their punishment will start on Yawm al-Qiyamah as well. Now, Jahannam is there for punishment, right? But some people, their punishment will start on Yawm al-Qiyamah as well. Those who had a lot of pride in this world, who thought they were above others, on Yawm al-Qiyamah, they will be the smallest of people, the size of ants, right? These people, Allahu Akbar, right? Not getting into too many punishments, but we'll get into punishments when we talk about Ahlul Nar and Adabun Nar, when we talk about the punishment and the people of Jahannam. So not right now. Okay. Then Allahu Akbar. One small Allahu Akbar. One small story comes to mind. There was one Sahabi. He asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, "Ya Rasulullah, on Yawm al-Qiyamah, understanding that, Ya Rasulullah, you are far greater than me. You're far above me, Ya Allah. Right? You're greater than me. You're above me. In this world, Ya Allah, I'm able to see you. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, it'll be a little difficult. Then when we get into Jannah, Ya Allah, you are going to be." So he's saying, Ya Rasulullah, where are you and where am I? You are way on top, Ya Rasulullah. You're way on top. You will be in Jannat al-Firdaus, with all prophets, the likes of Musa alayhi salam. Ya Allah, someone small like me. Allahu Akbar. No Sahabi is small. وَكُلًّا وَعَدَ اللَّهُ الْحُسْنَى. Each and every single Sahabi will go to Jannah, guaranteed Jannah in this world. Right? 10 were guaranteed by their names, right? Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu, and the list goes on and on. So he says, Ya Rasulullah, what will I do then? Ya Rasulullah, my pleasure of life is to see you, Ya Rasulullah. What will I do in Jannah? My pleasure, subhanAllah, Allahu Akbar. These are those pious people, subhanAllah. Jannah, they don't crave Jannah, right? Jannah is not what they want. They would compete in who can be the closest to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? Their objective and their goals were who can be closer to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who can be the closest to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Subhanallah, Allahu Akbar. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, don't worry, al-mar'u ma'a man ahabba. Al-mar'u ma'a man ahabba. You love someone so much, Allahu Akbar, to such an extent, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let alone in this world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will pair you in Jannah. Allahu Akbar. Right? This was a sign that, person, don't be alarmed, don't, and this is subhanAllah, he's Allahu Akbar. That Sahabi, through his question, we have been given the answer. Allahu Akbar. There was this one person. It's been said, it's a story. Allahu A'lam, I don't know how authentic this story is, how true this story is. There was this one person, a pious person. He was so pious in the eyes of people. He passed away, so they buried him with pious people. Right? There was this one, and then this other girl who, in the eyes of people, she was not pious. Right? People said, she's not pious and this and that, or she was a non-Muslim in the eyes of people. Right? She was buried with obviously non-Muslims. Right? Now, what happened was, that's Allah knows, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Something can happen, right? Understanding that it is jaiz, for example, if you have something valuable in the grave, right, you're able to dig it up and you're able to take that valuable thing up, right? What happened was that something valuable had been left in, what's it called? In the pious person who passed away in his grave, and something valuable was left in the woman, right? And sorry, in the girl that had passed away. Now, when the graves were dug up, subhanAllah, they found that the pious person who passed away, his grave was found in that place. So basically, they had swapped places. Right? They had swapped their places. Why did that happen? That happened because that girl, that woman, now in the eyes of people, fine, she was not a Muslim, but she was a Muslim. She belonged to a Hindu family. She belonged to a Hindu family. She had love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, true love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in her heart. Right? She had love, but she couldn't accept it because of family pressure, peer pressure, this and that, right? Due to the circumstance. So she was brought to this place. Now this person, who seemed pious in the eyes of people, he had love for the practices of kuffar, for their practices. So he was brought to this place. Right? So understanding that on Yawm al-Qiyamah, we will be resurrected. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, now in this world, you can be buried with pious people, right? On Yawm al-Qiyamah, this is not a guarantee that you will be asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obviously, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala resurrects us amongst pious people, and amongst prophets and others, But a person who has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can hide your inner feeling, you can hide your intentions from people, but you can't hide your intentions from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows us better than we know ourselves. Right? Those people who are buried with, wretched people, on Yawm al-Qiyamah, it can happen so that they are resurrected amongst pious people. Right? So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us this opportunity. Ameen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us this opportunity. To be resurrected amongst pious people. This was just one ayah in Surah Al-Araf. Now, I know this Surah Al-Araf, it covers the details of Musa alayhi salam, right? It mentions about the story of Musa alayhi salam with full details. It talks about Adam alayhi salam. Then again, I've said it before, we will cover the story of Musa alayhi salam under this ayah, وَفَتَنَّاكَ فُتُونَ, right? The hadith of Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu anhu. وَفَتَنَّاكَ فُتُونَ. A person came, he said, what does this mean? وَفَتَنَّاكَ فُتُونَ. So he said, come tomorrow and I will tell you. And then the person comes tomorrow, the name Abbas radiallahu anhu, Ibn Abbas radiallahu, he tells the entire story of Musa alayhi salam from the very beginning until the very end. Right? We will cover this in that tafsir, inshallah. Story of Adam alayhi salam as well. Then again, the same story will come in Surah Sad. We can discuss this in Surah Sad as well. Right now, because we are actually we're behind. Right, today is, I believe, the 10th or the 8th or the 9th, right, of Ramadan, and we're on our 8th juz. Right, so we need to move forward. So A'raf, we are done with A'raf. Right, this is the only thing that we need to. Other stories will come, inshallah. We can do later on. We can study those, and we can talk about them later on, inshallah. A'raf is done. Anfal, then again, we don't need to get into too many details of Surah Anfal. Anfal talks about the war spoils, right? Then again, we don't have to talk about this right now, right? See, all these different things about Anfal and different stories, we can, inshallah, learn them through different seminars and different sessions, right? But this, our job right now is to cover the Quran, right? And just to talk about the main topics of the Quran. That day I had mentioned a few things. Let me just add one or two more things about Anfal as it talks about Surah Badr. Now, what happened, as we understand, Abdullah bin Ubay, right, the leader of Munafiqeen, was in Medina, right? Quraysh sent a letter to Abdullah bin Ubay that why have you provided sanction to these Muslims, right? Have you become our enemy, right? So don't do this. If you provide them sanction, that we will wage war against you as well, right? And this is a letter that Abu Jahl sent to Abdullah bin Ubay, right? But obviously Abdullah bin Ubay wasn't a Muslim, and then he responded back, right? He wasn't a Muslim, and he said, I'm with you. I'm because these people in Medina, they were weak, right? They needed the help of Quraysh to topple and to take care of the Muslims, right? So they said, when you come to war and when you attack the Muslims, then we will together attack the Muslims, right? That's what he said. Sa'ad bin Mu'adh radiallahu anhu, he comes to Mecca now to pray, right? He comes to Mecca to pray. He comes to Mecca to pray to Kaaba. Quraysh find out and they say, look, if we didn't have this relationship with you, right, we would have attacked you, right? If we didn't know your leader, if we didn't have a treaty with your leaders, Quraysh, because like I said, some of the the Muslims, some of their relatives were, alhamdulillah, they embraced Islam, and a lot of their relatives and a lot of their leaders were non-Muslims, right? So they said the next time you come here, right, because the Quraysh said this land belongs to us because this is where our idols are kept. The next time you come to us, we will take care of you, right? So Sa'ad bin Mu'adh said, okay, fine. If we can't come to Mecca for our worship, then you can't come to Medina, right? Because now nearly all the Muslims are in Medina. Now you can't come to Medina. Now Medina was that route for their business, right? They would have their business transactions and their business routes through Medina. So that would be cutting off a major supply. So Sa'ad bin Mu'adh anhu says that you can't come to Medina. And then he goes back. The Quraysh were upset over this. They said, we have our merchandise, we have all this. So they sent a delegation, or they sent some troops. They sent some people that you go to Medina and you steal some of their stock. Right? You steal some of their merchandise, you steal some of their things. Now the news reached Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that this has happened. After some time now, subhanAllah, see all of this, it's falling. It's like it's all these events are happening in succession, right, one after the other. Now what's happening is that what happens is the Muslims find out that the caravan of Abu Sufyan is coming, right? The caravan of Abu Sufyan is coming, and the caravan of Abu Sufyan is going to Mecca. Right, he's returning from Sham. He's going to Mecca. So the Muslims said, this is an opportunity for us. These people took our wealth, they took our money. Now let's get them back. Let's intercept this and let's take our stuff back. The news reaches Abu Sufyan that Sahaba radiallahu anhum ajma'in are coming, right? And they had I believe 40 camels and 2 horses. Roughly 40 to 70 camels. I forget the exact amount. Roughly 40 camels and 2 horses, right? Abu Sufyan, he changes his route, right? And he goes back, right? Goes back to changes his route and goes back. Sorry, Abu Sufyan is going to Sham. The news reaches him that he is going to Sham and to intercept this caravan. Abu Sufyan changes his route and he returns back to Mecca. He finds out that these Muslims, they have their troops, they have their people, and then their intentions are bad. Their intentions were to intercept this and to take this, what belongs to us. So Quraysh said, okay, now Muslims, Allahu Akbar, now the majority of the Muslims, they didn't know at that time, in the beginning, right? So Quraysh said, this is an opportunity for us to take revenge. This is an opportunity for us to wipe out this entire deen of Islam, Allahu Akbar, right? So Quraysh, they prepared an army. And then rest is history, right? Then we understand how the battle had taken place. 313 against 1,000 Sahaba, radiallahu anhum ajma'in, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala aided them through angels, right? And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds them in the Quran as well. وَلَقَدْ نَصَرَكُمُ اللَّهُ بِبَدْرٍ وَأَنْتُمْ أَذِلَّةٌ. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helped you. He aided you when at the time of Badr, وَأَنْتُمْ أَذِلَّةٌ, whilst you were few in number. Right? So this was the highlight. Then again, it talks about Anfal talks about so it talks about ahkam of war and ahkam of spoils, right? So right now we don't need to get into the ahkam of spoils, right? It's roughly spoke of Badr, and in Surah Al-Araf as well, it speaks of stories of prophets. Stories of prophets. Why were they mentioned? They were mentioned not for the entertainment of Quraysh. They were only mentioned to let them know that these were people that they had come before you. They disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they went against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they went against the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is the result. So don't do the same, because if you do, this can also be your outcome, right? You will be punished. This is the reason of why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned these stories in the Quran, right? Surah Yusuf has its own purpose. The purpose of Surah Yusuf was to strengthen the iman of believers, and it was an answer to those who asked the question. When we get to Surah Yusuf, inshallah, we'll discuss Surah Yusuf, right? And as to why Surah Yusuf was revealed, inshallah, that story will get into details as well, right? For right now, we won't get into the details of Musa alayhi salam and Adam alayhi salam. Adam alayhi salam, then again, those who have just joined us, it comes in Surah Sad and, different parts throughout the Quran. Musa alayhi salam, comes throughout the Quran. Surah Taha, this surah, the other surah, right? Stories of other prophets. A lot of prophets, their stories are in Surah Hud and Surah Anbiya, right? So we will learn about them as well, inshallah, when we get to those surahs, not right now. So as for today, we have completed Surah A'raf and Surah Anfal. Tomorrow, inshallah, we'll do Surah An'am. Right, Surah An'am, and then we'll move on to Surah Tawbah. Sorry, not Surah. Sorry. Tomorrow, so we've already done An'am, sorry, my apology. We've done A'raf today, and Fal is done. Tomorrow we start with Surah Tawbah in the 10th juz. Okay, so tomorrow we do Surah Tawbah, what happens in Surah Tawbah, and we might do a few parts of Surah Yunus as well. Okay, so tomorrow, inshallah, we will do Surah Tawbah in details, the main things, and then inshallah we will do Surah Yunus, and then we will be on the 11th juz, inshallah. Right? So we'll complete our 11th juz tomorrow as well, inshallah, by completing Surah Tawbah and Surah Yunus. And then Hud, inshallah, starting from the 12th, this is when we just delve into the stories of prophets, talk about them in details, inshallah. And then Allahu Akbar, you have Surah Yusuf. Okay, so Hud, and so we will just go and we'll just breeze over Surah Yunus. Okay, just go over Surah Yunus, just breeze over, maybe mention a few things here and there. Surah Tawbah, inshallah, we'll discuss about the 3 people who had stayed back. And Surah Hud, we'll discuss all the prophets, inshallah. And Surah Yusuf, obviously, we have to discuss in full details. Okay, inshallah. Allahu Akbar. Just coming to our hadith of the day. Allahu Akbar. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said, كل أمتي يدخلون الجنة. Every ummah of mine will enter, every ummati of mine will enter into Jannah, إلا من أبى, except for those who refrain, who have refused, right? قيل ومن يأبى يا رسول الله, Ya Rasulullah, who have refused to enter into Jannah, right? Meaning enter into Jannah. They are not given access to Jannah. قال من أطاعني دخل الجنة. He who obeys me enters into Jannah. ومن عصاني فقد أبى. And he who disobeys me, he refutes me. Allahu Akbar. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the understanding, right, May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the understanding of this hadith. Now, one other question, a lot of people ask is, what is the easiest way, what is the quickest way, what is the fastest way to become a wali of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So just feel 1 or 2 things. It's very, very easy, right? 1 or 2 things we have to understand, inshallah, by doing so. It's, anyone can be a wali of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So we've already been given wilayat al-sughra, right? Allahu waliyyu alladhina amanu, those who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a small friendship, Now, obviously there are darajat, right? A friendship as well. You have someone who you call someone a friend, then you have someone who you say, he's my best friend, and then, so on and so forth, right? So there's wilayat al-sughra and wilayat al-kubra as well. An easy way to become a wali or to become a friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is by following this beautiful ayah in Ali Imran. Right? Sorry, not in Ali Imran. It is ayah. Sorry, I believe, yes, it is in Ali Imran. قل إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني. Okay. Second. Yes. قل إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني. If you claim to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then follow me, i.e. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Then what will happen? يحببكم Allah. That is it. Okay? Just understand this much at least. Okay? I'm not finishing the ayah right now, just understand this, right? قل إن كنتم تحبون الله. If you claim to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فاتبعوني. Follow me. Follow me. And then what will happen? يحببكم Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will love you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you. See, fathers, parents, they're ready to do anything for their children. Why? See, don't parents protect their children from harm, from everything, right? Why? Because they love them. Just imagine what will happen when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects you from so many different things. He protects you from false accusation. He protects you from bankruptcy. He protects you from so many different things, right? What is the key thing here you have to do in order to become a friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Simply follow the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, right? Now, how do you follow someone? Just saying that you follow someone is not enough, right? You truly follow someone by following his actions, and you follow someone by adhering to what he has told you, what he tells you, right? So an easy way to do this is, one, you follow the Sharia of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's one, okay? So whatever is halal, it's halal, right? Remember what I said yesterday? Sadiqan, tasdiqan, jaziman, right? Having this adamant belief, right? That whatever is halal, it is halal, and having this adamant belief that whatever Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has told us, it is the truth without any doubts, right? Can't mix the two. That's number one. And number two is what we can do is follow and act upon few sunan, about different sunan. For example, going to bed, right? Allahumma bismika amutu ahya. Bismika rabbi wada'tu jambi wa bika arfa'uhu in amsakta nafsi farhamha wa in arsaltaha fahfadha bima tahfadhu bihi ibadika as-salihin. Right? Different du'as that you can recite when a person gets up. Alhamdulillah alladhi ahyana ba'da ma amatana wa ilayhi nushur. Who used to recite this dua? Right? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahu Akbar. Right? So when a person recites these du'as, right? When a person, now, for example, when it comes to eating, you try to mimic. Allahu, one small story just comes into mind is that Allahu Akbar. Musa alayhi salam, now those who came against the magicians that came against Musa alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them hidayah, right? So Musa alayhi salam, he went to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he asked, Ya Allah, why did you give them hidayah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, O Musa, they came in your form, they dressed the way you dressed, right? They came in your form, they mimicked you, they copied you, they became beloved to me, so I gave them hidayah. Okay. This is for Kareem Allah. What is to say for those who copy Habibullah, right? Just imagine what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do for us and will do for us if when we try to imitate Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in all of our in all walks of life, in each and every single aspect of life, the way we try to eat the way he ate, we try to speak the way he spoke, we try to walk the way he walked, right? We try to everything, sleep the way he, subhanAllah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to take his Sahaba radhiyallahu anhum ajma'in describe, he would take his right palm and put it under his right cheek, right? Let us try to sleep like this. Let us try, we have to try at least, right? SubhanAllah, this is what we need to understand. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, oh my slave, just give it a try. And this is the system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what we have to understand. Just try to walk. Just try to walk. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes care of the rest, right? For example, some teachers, they say, just show up in class. Just show up in class. I'll take care of the rest. I'll make sure I teach you everything, right? So this is what we need to do. We need to take this one step. Allahu Akbar. Someone asked a pious person. Someone asked Abu Yazid Bustami rahimahullah that how can I get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He said, Allahu Akbar, it's very easy. It's only 2 steps. He said, what are you saying? Just 2 steps? Yeah, 2 steps. What does that mean? He said, put the first step on your nafs. Put the first step on your nafs. The second step you'll find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that's it. That's the closest way to get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just 2 steps, right? إِذَا أَتَانِي يَمْشِي أَتَيْتُهُ هَرْوَلًا. My slave walks onto me, I run onto him, right? Allahu Akbar. When my slave remembers me in a gathering, I remember him in a better gathering, right? So the little that we do, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I'm ready to help you. For example, someone, you have when the parents when they tell the child to just walk, just try to walk, right? Just get up, just make that attempt, just try to walk. If you fall, if you're about to fall, I will save you, right? This is, subhanAllah, this is, my dear respected brothers and sisters, this is when the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes. When we make this little effort of getting up, and the same thing that happens with the Tahajjud Salah as well. When we just try, right now it's the month of Ramadan, just try to pray Tahajjud Salah, just make dua, right? We don't even make dua for Tahajjud Salah. We don't ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, Ya Allah, please, help me in Tahajjud Salah. And then we say, I can't pray Tahajjud. Right? But you do your part, and then leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You do this. You just say, Ya Allah, I need you to help me. Ya Allah, please, Ya Allah, please, I need you to help me. I want to get up for Tahajjud Salah. Ya Allah, I wish to offer 2 rakat of Tahajjud. Right? Then see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps you. SubhanAllah, who knows, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can send an angel to wake you up. Right? We need to place our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as much as we can. Actually, with all of our matters. Not as much as we can, 100%. Right? So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the understanding of what has been heard and said. Jazakallahu khairan for your time. Inshallah, we will discuss Surah Tawbah tomorrow, as well as Surah Yunus. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.